the grenades, not the grenades, the ones they shoot by, you know. I can't think of the name of them there. And that's what set onto the roof and set it alight. And gradually it...
What about the chain, the command chain? Now, how many officers, how many, I mean, you say 40 of you got out.
Yeah.
No, would you say 40 or 37?
37.
Right, 37 got out. How many of those then were for one of the...
Well, 80% were wounded, and we had about 30% of them in carrying them, like stretchers. And we were doing that over a period of time, the ones that could carry them. And we just took them out and put them over the bridge, and left them, went back up more, and eventually it was all outside in a gully underneath the bridge. And from there we sort of had to surrender. Actually, one chap went up with a white sheet and waved it, and they shot him. Yeah, she was a bit naughty, really. And then the rest of us went up, got taken prisoner. The Germans came in, and one of the German officers come up and said in English, "You're very unlucky, lads." So we all stared in amazement. And he said, "Yeah, I used to work in the bank in London before the war." He said, "If you'd come a day later," he said, "you've had no trouble. All the tanks would have moved up to the front line."
A day late.
A day late. So it was a day too early.
A bridge too far and a day too early.
That's it.
Amazing. Now, you say that drop is going to the Guinness Book of Records.
That's it. I'll mention it.
Yeah.
36 days of men, and I was one of those men.
Yeah. And more importantly, one of the men that survived. This is the thing.
That's, possibly, one of the lucky ones.
You think, what life you've had now since then, and all those people never had.
They were all young, you know, and very, very naughty.
Now, okay, so you were captured.
Yeah.
You were taken prisoner. Then what happened then?
Well, we got taken, put in one of the cattle trucks and a train, and it was taken up to a place called the Chemnitz. We was in there 4 days, take 40 men to a truck.
40 men?
45 men to each truck.
That toilet facility, then?
Nothing, just a bucket in the corner. And over that period of 4 days, we had one loaf of bread between the lot of us.
One loaf of bread over 4 days?
One loaf of bread, which went into a bit of portion like that. So, of course, when we got out, incredibly helpless.
Lost the weight?
Lost the weight and everything.
What do you reckon you lost?
Well, actually, when I came back home, I was 6 stone.
6 stone?
6 stone. Which is a lot of weight. And we were sent to working parties where we worked with the German civilians, which were quite amiable. They didn't want the war any more than what we did, really. And we got caught up in a big American air raid, which absolutely devastated the place we were living in. I spent my 20th birthday digging out bodies from the ruins.
20th birthday?
My 20th birthday. 7th of May. Terrible. In fact, I told one of the Germans and he gave me a little cup of snacks. Happy birthday. And from there onwards, the Russians started advancing towards us. And so the Germans left us to our own sources to get back towards the American line. And we went off about 30 of us and strolled down over a period of 4 days until we eventually reached the American line. And then they put us in hotels prior to going back to England, I think. And
you know, we see things like Colditz, we see, you know, all these sort of war films. I mean, is there, you know, it doesn't, what you're saying, but it doesn't even compare with...
Well, Colditz was for officers.
I know it was for officers, yes, I accept that. But, you know, I mean, so officers were treated so much better then? So much better?
Well, yes, so much better. If you, from the rank of corporal upwards, they weren't allowed to send them out to work. But private plant corporals, they could send you out to work in. We worked in a factory which was quite good. The food wasn't brilliant. I'm going to say we used to have potato soup, mango soup, you know, they made it into a soup.
How, do they ever hit you or assault you?
I got once when I got caught taking a potato from the kitchen.
One potato?
One potato. And he gave me 3 smacks in the back with a rifle. So that may be what room I got from.
Yeah, so they were generally then they were reasonable.
Over a period generally. I think
that was how long? 9 months?
Yes, 9 months. Over that period. they were quite amiable, so really off and on, we weren't too bad. There were a lot of people worse off than what we were.
Were the people who were looking after you younger, same age as you, or were they much older?
Yeah, they're more like the English Home Guard, I think. You know, the elderly soldiers. And they were just there to supervise us. There's only about 3 of them. And we spent most of the day, we used to start work at 6 and finish at 6. With a stop, half hour for lunch, which was super.
So nutritionally, you were very lacking.
That's it. We, over that period of 9 months, we got one Red Cross parcel between us. And there was chocolate and all things, you know, to build up. And we used to barter the chocolate for loaves of bread. Because it was more.
Because there was more.
Yeah.
Harrowing time then, really, wasn't it, for a 20-year-old, 19-year-old?
It is really. Yeah, it is really.
And that was what,
50 years, yeah, 50 years ago.
What made you say, you've got a very cheerful personality. What do you do, I mean, after all this, how do you...
Well, I suppose I'm one of the survivors, aren't I?
That makes you, yeah.
That makes me happy to be here.
You mentioned the Home Guard about, you know, now let's go back to my dad's army again.
Yeah,
You see this on television. Now, how does that come across? Is it roughly right what they show on television?
Well, yeah, I was in the Home Guard before I joined up.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one rifle between the 25 of us.
Oh, right.
All the rest were made of wood.
False. They look like they were
They
right.
looked like rifles. But there was only one real rifle between the 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they expected us to stop Hitler with that. Because he was on the coast of Portsmouth.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is an absolute joke, isn't it, really? I mean, what on earth did they thought you could do with one
Well,
rifle?
nothing really. I'm saying if Hitler had come across, he had no opposition at all, really.
But didn't he know? Didn't intelligence tell him things like
Well, whatever he did, he done it wrong. Didn't he? He done it wrong. He mistakes.
that?
Thank goodness for us. We were lucky ones.
Because what he did, of course, was start bombing London rather than the airport.
That's it.
And that was the
If
shame.
he'd have come aboard as, you know, an invasion, like we did at D-Day, he'd have walked through the country without any trouble at all. Because all the forces, what there was of them, wasn't there?
How long were you in the Home Guard then?
Oh, only for about 9 months.
And you have to, do you have these parades, did you? Things
Oh,
like
yeah, you'll be once a week, parade in the front of Portsmouth. I've done it 125 was it?
Did you have a man like Mainwaring or Mannering in charge of it?
Well, no, it's such a long time. It was only a sort of a one-night thing, you know, so he was with different people, different times, so nothing really comes to the back of my mind, you know, something like that. We never had any of these little escapades in the country at all.
No. Who carried, was it always the same person who carried the one weapon or what?
Oh, no, we shared it.
Oh!
You know, yeah, I had to go in the other guy.
Yeah. You ever fire it?
I didn't know if we had, no, we didn't have any bullets, did we?
You didn't have
I guess had a rifle.
Huh?
Well, that frightening, you know, one rifle frightening.
No bullets?
No
No.
bullets.
Well, why have the one rifle then?
Well, I don't know. Just to get used to it, I suppose. You know, one day you may have one for yourself, which I did.
What do you think Churchill, what was your, I mean, you obviously, I mean, Churchill, what was your view on,
Well, I think he was a good leader, very good leader. And
did he inspire you? Did you ever hear from him? Did you hear broadcasts? You personally?
not really. I spoke to the leader who I was captured with. Well, he wasn't captured, he got away, and we were captured. And he spoke at the times, you know, oh, it's good to be with you and all that, but he's in his 80s after me, so, you know. He was at the D-Day celebration down in Portsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
We represented him out there, and I spoke to him about it. And I don't know how many, there was only about 5 of our platoon left out of the 30 men, you know.
Do you ever see those people that you were with all those years ago?
Well, actually, I emigrated to Australia in the latter part, after all being the 50s, 60s. And we called in at Aden, and we stopped off at Aden. And as we went through one of the supermarkets, walked up the stairs, and coming down the stairs was one of the chaps who was prisoner of war with me in Germany. There was 35 of us, and he was one of those prisoners, and I bumped into him in Aden on my way to Australia. And he was going back to England. I don't know where it come from.
Did you take his address?
No, that was just a surprise, you know.
It's quite, well, it must be quite emotional, and you're quite shocked.
Oh, it is, you know, as soon as we saw who he was, you know, we sort of expressed with one another, and they collectively were reserved.
So, okay, we mentioned at the beginning about the fact about jumping out there. Would you say to somebody it might be regarded now to have a go at jumping out of an aeroplane?
I think for a youngster, yes. It's a wonderful experience, as you know.
When you slide down that plane and your shoulder rubs against the fuselage.
Yeah.
And all the aeroplanes with the parachute, they all got the paint come off, haven't they?
And
When
this
it's
is
going
being
down.
rubbed in.
You've got to the tail plane.
Actually, one of the first drops we had was from the Lancaster bombers, where they had the aperture before you got the side. And of course you had to throw yourself forward, because if you didn't, your chute would hit the back, and you smash, that's what they call ringing the bell. You smash your face against the other side. And it happened quite often, before they brought the doors in.
And you had no reserve, did you?
We had no reserve then, no.
We were fortunate.
Yes, if your parachute did up, you had to go back and get another one.
Well, George, on that happy note, you have to go and get. I like that. You just given us an insight into what it must have been like and what it was like to be at Arnhem and also to be a prisoner of war.
Big privilege then.
You're a very brave man and you're a very happy man.
That's the main, yeah.
And you're a very nice man, and I just thank you for just sharing a few of those tough times.
Sharing with you.
And you know, just let's carry on being so happy and enjoying your life. And
Will do.
thanks again.
Simple.
Oh, there we are. What a lovely few words there from George. And so, as I say, we thank you for coming along. So this is the last interview of 1994. So we look forward to 1995 when we will have some more interesting people to talk to. So we'll say goodbye for today, and I'll be back for Thursday with a spotted